Hello everyone, welcome. Look what I've got. A.S. Pushkin, The Captain's Daughter. Second-hand book. I went on a little bit of a binge. And this is, it's a great, okay, look at this. It's, if I can show you. It's both in, well, the book is in English, but it was published in Moscow. Do you see it there in Russian and in English? And it was published in Moscow in 1954. And it has, it's a great little book. It has all the, engravings and things, the drawings, and it's a great little book. You know how much I paid for it? £3. What is that? $4 or €4 or something like that. Anyway, let me tell you about the book. This is going to be a short video, but you might want to get it because it's not only great fun but food for thought. The author, this one, I'm going to talk about this one, is A Dog's Heart, published by Penguin Classics. The author is Milhail Bulgakov. Okay, let me tell you what. It's a very tiny book. Do you see it? Yeah. All right. Let me tell you what this book is about. Bulgakov is a Russian writer, and he's writing in the very early 1920s. The revolution has taken place in 1917. Lenin is still alive in 1924. Stalin hasn't come into the picture at all yet. And it's that transition in which society is not totally totalitarian yet. It's authoritarian for sure. So you see, but it's the transition period. People were still allowed to leave the Soviet Union, which they weren't allowed afterwards. You could still get away with a certain amount of criticism of the authorities if it didn't come to their notice. Citizens were already beginning to be a little bit authoritarian themselves. The secretary of the neighborhood watch would come and check that you were following all the rules and so on, But you could still get away at that time with not being censured. You were being censured if you went against the official line, but you might not have come to their notice yet. So you were being censored, or the platform, or but not everybody yet. At that time, he's writing this book. And this book is a criticism from the inside, obviously, about this new world, this new utopia. He says that it's actually when you have people saying that we are going to create this new world that is going to be better for everybody else. He says it's usually about plunder and perhaps revenge. He says that the new masters, let me quote here, the new masters, in exercising their authority, he says they look nervous. Nevertheless, they're worried about whether the rest of the people will rise up. They have this continuous sense of danger to themselves, and he says they look nervous as murderers in a hurry. Their faces resembling inspired bandits. Sometimes they look like sated vampires. Okay, so it's this society kind of in between that he says more authoritarian than totalitarian, ruined and rebuilding at the same time, full of chancers on the make. And a woman would ask, what's all this? What is to be, when is going to be an end of all this, what is happening? Everybody is confused to a large extent. Okay, so this is about this dog, who is, as I said, a stray dog. He doesn't have anything to eat. He has to go to dustbins and find a piece of bread or a piece of sausage or whatever it might be, and it's a hard life. And because it is a hard life, he knows about people. He has a sense, he develops obviously a sense for self-preservation. And so he says, for example, when he sees someone coming along, a human being coming along, he knows straight away whether to get out of his way, because he looks like the kind of person who's going to kick me with his boots. Or this nice old lady, oh no, she's going to pet me. Please don't pet me. I hate nice old women who come and pet me. Give me some food. Don't pet me. That kind of thing. So he knows human beings. And he sees this gentleman who's coming along. He says, there is a nice gentleman. I think I'll follow him to see, because he's going into the butcher shop. And he said, I'll just stay behind just in case he gives me something. And he says, I trust him because the eyes are a very telling thing, he says. They are like a barometer. You can see everything. Whose soul is as dry as drought in the desert? Who might just give you a poke in the ribs with his boot for no reason at all? And who's afraid of everything and everybody, including himself? So he knows. So he sees this guy there who looks very confident. He's obviously well fed. And he's here saying, oh, my Lord and Master, look at me, I'm dying. Behold my servile soul to you, my dismal lot. Allow me to lick your boots, please. Okay, so sure enough, the gentleman goes into the butcher shop, comes out, gives him a little bit of a sausage. Oh, this is great. So he follows him. He keeps giving him sausage. Great, okay. So he takes him to his home. And he can't believe his luck. He's there, he's being well fed. No longer a piece of bread that you find somewhere, but ribs and cutlets and all kinds of things. And he can't believe his luck. And then he begins to sort of gain a little bit of confidence. He looks at himself in a mirror and says, I'm looking rather good. Not bad. He begins to think that perhaps, my predecessors might have been of a caste of princely dogs, because, I can see my gait looking good. Believing himself. Okay. So the idea is that, you see, this guy is a doctor and he has an assistant and they have a lab and they're waiting for a human being to die, bring him in, bring that corpse right away into the lab, take the sexual organs and the pituitary gland out and operate on the dog. Put those two items in the dog. And what would happen then? Okay, so that is what they do. Now, at one point, he realizes a corpse has been brought in. The person died only 3 hours ago of an accident, and there is a lot of movement and things in the lab, and he's beginning to worry. What is going on here? Something different, a lot of movement. And he says, he begins to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Could they be doing something, thinking about me, about doing something for me? They're looking at me. Why are they doing that? Before that, he began to worry about it because he was... Oh, I have to tell you something. before that, he was taken for a walk. The maid put a nice shiny collar on him and took him for a walk. And these are his words. He says, well, I'm feeling very, very handsome at the moment. Perhaps I come from some dog prince, and so he's put this collar, take him for a walk. It was a lovely collar, a shiny collar, and he felt very upset about this. Put his tail between his legs and went off to the bathroom, thinking he might be able to scrape it off against a trunk or a box. But then he realized he was being a fool. That wasn't possible. So he accepted it. He had no choice. So he walked along with Zina, the maid. Walked along like a prisoner, he felt. He was burning with shame. But then once he walked along the main street as far as the cathedral, he realized the true significance of a collar in life. A furious envy flowed in the eyes of all the other dogs looking at him, all the other dogs that he met along the way. One dog shouted, "Master's lackey," and the other one shouting, "You creep," and the other one shouting, "Who do you think you are with all those airs and graces?" And some people even gave the collar a glance of delighted respect. And even when they came back home, the doorman opened the door and let him in, let him go first, saying, "What a nice fluffy dog." So he came to realize that really a collar is just like a briefcase, a part of the uniform. To the point where when he was taken for a walk and other dogs, stray dogs, started barking at him, he would turn around in a dignified manner, he had forgotten where he had come from, and say, "What is all this about? What on earth can you possibly be barking at? You barking at me? Can't you see my collar?" So, very confident in his collar now, that at first he saw as a sign of servitude. He saw this corpse coming in, a lot of movement, lots of hustle and bustle, and he thought, could this be something about me? And then he said, he saw Caesars, he thought, shall I run away? I don't think that there is, I think something is going to happen which might not be very good for me. Shall I run away? No, I couldn't run away, he says. I could never leave this place for any kind of freedom. No. Freedom for what? Freedom to starve? No, I could never leave. No point in me lying about this. I've got used to this nice life. My noble masters, I am my noble master's dog. A creature, my master is a creature of culture, of property and possessions. I've tasted a better life, and what is freedom anyway? Nothing but smoke, a mirage, a fiction, a pipe dream. No, I'm used to this nice life now. You remember John Stuart Mill? Would you rather be a pig satisfied or a human being unsatisfied? Would you rather be a sated dog or a comfortable and secure in your gilded cage, or free, but you have to find your own food? Not an easy life. So he stays, and sure enough, they operate on the dog. They take out the pituitary gland and the sexual organs of the man who had died in an accident, insert it into the dog. All right, so he, after he recovers, there is a period of time. It's quite funny, actually. He actually begins to become a man, little by little. First of all, he begins to stand erect there. And then he starts saying words, individual words. And then he starts making sentences and this and that. Anyway, he ends up being a man. But a man in state of almost a savage. He gets into trouble. He doesn't know about society, so he kicks, he swears, he smokes, he gets drunk every night, he gropes the women and the servants, and they are all very upset. Anyway, it creates such chaos that both the doctors decide to bring him back to being a dog again, and actually he is quite satisfied at that himself. He says, let's see. So the purpose of the book is he's criticizing, the author is criticizing obviously the society that is being built. And he says a society that not only denial of God, but the rulers not having insufficient humility in the face of the mysteries of nature. That the message, in other words, is that man must recognize the limits of his own power. Let me read you, I wrote it down. That there are realms, divine and natural, where man cannot tread without danger of creating something blasphemous or unnatural without carrying out a satanic act. And this idea was anathema to the communists, whose entire program was based on the notion that God did not exist and that nature was infinitely plastic and flexible, that they could create a new, better man. He points out that the secret of dictatorial rulers sometimes is that they always manage to be much more wicked than anyone else in society expects them or imagines that they could be. Okay. Let me see what other notes I have there. So, I think that's it. So, at the end, the purpose is, when you see the color. Well, this could be my color at the moment. Whether really we are willing to lead a life that is comfortable but carrying a collar around our neck, rather than having to find like the dog a piece of bread, having to find our own food, rummaging in dustbins and so on, but be free. We still have to answer that question. Okay, well, I hope you I think it's a good read, okay? And that's it for today. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.